Okay. Hi guys. For anyone who doesn't know me, I'm Jenna, and today I have a special guest with me, Mike Dreher. Say hi.
Hello, everybody.
And he is one of the founders of our beautiful community, and I figured who better to explain what we do than Mike. Um, First, tell us a little about yourself and where you're from.
Okay, sure. Well, I'm Canadian. Grew up in Alberta. Right now I live off the west coast of Canada. All of my Albertan friends make fun of me because I can't stand winter, so I had to get as far away from it as possible. And where I come from is I used to be in sales and marketing, and then I was a business coach for a while. And I even did the public service for a while. So public, corporate, a little bit of everything. And eventually I got into the online world when I met my partner. He was already working online, had been for, at that point, just about 10 years. And so we decided to work together. And it worked out quite well because we had different skills. And that's kind of what brought us to the point where we're at now, to be honest, because we wanted to do something where we could both kind of shine. We could both do our own thing. And so we've kind of merged our worlds together now. And that's what we've created with the community.
I really commend you because you created such a beautiful community. I mean, it's not just in terms of the money, but I mean, the form of family and togetherness and people wanting to help each other. It's really incredible. I actually never thought it was possible, but
it's pretty unique.
It was incredible. I mean, people you've never met, because I never thought I would be meeting someone like you, but I mean, here we are, and I'm interviewing you, right? Did you have a certain point in time, like, where you felt that something needed to change in your life? Because, like, for me, I actually just moved here 3 years ago, and when I moved here, when you move here, you feel like, yes, I moved to a developed country and my life is really going to change. You get that feeling, right? Like people say in the United States, like the land of dreams, right? You're here, you say that, I'm in the land of dreams, so everything is going to work out. And when I came here, the only jobs I could get were cleaning jobs, right? And when I finished school, I finally got an accounting job, and I'm like, yes, now this is it. And it so happened that, one time, I lost my job. Like, I was dropped to part-time without any notice, and I lost my house at the same time. And I kept looking for jobs, like, for 3 months, looking and searching, and I couldn't find anything. And one day my sister told me, you know what, you're looking for jobs every single day. You're on the website, you're online, you're looking for jobs. What makes you think you've been looking for 3 months and something is still going to come up after you're looking for 3 months? You need to change something for you to be able to get results. And she actually gave me she's more into the motivational speaker thing, right? She likes motivational speakers and whatnot. So she sent me a couple of videos. And when I found this community, was a time when I was promising myself, you know what, maybe let me just click on it, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't work, I'll show my sister that I tried, But well, it really turned out to be the best decision I made. So my question to you is, did you have a point in your life where you felt like something needed to change and you really needed to do something different and live your life better and maybe do something different and,
Yeah, I've had a lot of them. I think when I look back on some of the biggest things that impacted me in terms of where we're at now and why it's so important to me is when I think back to my childhood, my parents, they were two of the hardest working people I've ever met in my life. And, I was lucky because when I was young, they were kind of gypsies. They traveled around quite a bit. Dad used to manage oil rigs. And so they even lived for a while in Iran during the Shah years. When I was a kid, I grew up in Venezuela And so right from my earliest stages, I had firsthand experience with what it meant to be somebody who had money and who didn't have money. Because a lot of countries in the world, there is no middle class. You either have it or you don't. And I remember just the differences in people in terms of how they acted, and it was something I think that'll stay with me forever. You know, I remember distinctly seeing that there was two different kinds of people, and I couldn't figure out why they were different. Like, what's the difference? Why is this person happy and this person's not, kind of thing, right? There were two people. What could possibly be different? Because you don't know at that age. And then, for whatever reason, Dad got out of the oil field, probably because it's the oil field. And then we moved to small town Alberta. We bought a farm, and that was back in the 80s. And the 80s here in Canada, they were rough. I mean, our mortgage rates were like 25%, and all around us, people are losing their farms. And when you lose your farm, you lose everything. You lose your house, you lose your livelihood, you lose your food, you lose your job, everything. And somehow my parents managed to keep it together. You know, they both had full-time jobs. They both managed the farm. They raised a kid, and somehow they managed to make sure there was always food on the table. And it was never easy. Oh my gosh, like everything was always breaking down. Fortunately, Dad was one of the people who could fix anything. And both of them just did whatever it took to make it work. And I think the biggest lesson I ever got from them was you just don't give up. You can't, because if you give up, that's the day you're really beaten. And all around me, I remember I saw people who gave up, but those two never did. And somehow they managed to get through the 80s. They didn't lose their farm. And then they managed to sell it in 1990 for the exact same price they bought it for in 1980. But even at that point, they were like, whoa, whew, amazing. Right. But I think for me, that was the point where I was like, when I realized what working hard really meant, but I also realized that working hard wasn't always the answer, because man, those two were tired, you know? And I think that was when the first kind of light went on. But then over the years, I just like everybody else, you land in a job or something that just, in your core is so wrong for you, or, you're living in the wrong place. And I think the one thing I've always tried to do is I've always tried to listen to that inner voice. And if it's not right, stop what you're doing and move on. And sometimes it takes a little longer to listen to that advice, right? But I mean, that's something we all struggle with. And then, the advantage of getting older is you start to, hindsight's 20/20, as they say. So you're able to look back on all of those experiences and you say, okay, well, this is what this is all kind of adding up to. And I can see now I'm on the right journey, because if it's not right, I fix it immediately. And this is what I love most about the community we've created. And there's no way in the world that I could possibly take any credit for this, because it's a community, right? And this is what I love about this so much, because every single time another person comes in, we get that much better. And everybody's got their own unique outlook, perspective, experiences. And that helps make the community evolve a little bit better. And it just makes us more interesting and makes us more dynamic. Every time we deal with something as a collective and we help somebody through it, then that means we can help more people through the same thing. Now, I love that part.
Yeah, it's really incredible. Everyone keeps asking me, how are you going to help us? If your community is growing, how are you going to make it better? But I keep telling them, the more we grow, the better it becomes. And people don't believe me. But now, since they hear it from you, I guess everyone will believe it now, right?
Well, it makes sense, right? I mean, if you think about it, when you're making a soup, you could make it with salt and pepper. It's going to be kind of bland. But, you put some onions, you put some carrots, and you put a little bit of other things in there. Naturally, it's going to get that much better, right? So, same thing.
Okay, I have another question. Why do you believe the online space is the future nowadays? Because, we keep saying the online space is the future. So tell us a little bit about why you think that is.
I'll be honest, I don't even know if it's the future anymore. I don't know if we can say that. I think it's pretty much the present. Anybody who's not working online or somehow working with technology is in a very serious, very risky position. we see it happening on a daily basis. People are getting replaced left, right, and center by technology. I mean, there's grocery stores that are operating right now without any staff. There's machines that are stocking the shelves. There's machines that are checking people out, and there's machines that are cleaning the floors, right? Telephone operators were replaced by machines years ago. Bank tellers were replaced by machines years ago. I mean, the writing is on the wall. Now we see cars that can drive themselves, right? Where does it end? It doesn't. That's the thing. That's the whole message here. It will never end. It's just going to keep evolving. And I always kind of chuckle to myself when somehow people have this delusional idea that it doesn't involve them, because I know for a fact they've probably bought something online in the last 6 months or the last month, or probably realistically the last 24 hours, because everybody is. I mean, you can buy something on Amazon quite often for half the price of something that you'd buy in the store, and to have it shipped to your house within the week, if not the day, right? So this technology revolution that we find ourselves in the middle of is the current reality. It's not the Industrial Revolution, and it's certainly not the Agricultural Revolution. Those are long since in the history books. Today, we're in the technology revolution, and it's not stopping anytime soon.
Yeah, I don't think it is. People still don't believe that. I was actually one of the people who didn't believe there was anything legitimate online, because I looked at this opportunity way before I actually went in to watch the workshop, right? I clicked on it when everything was good, when I had my job, and I was like, no, this can't be right. No one can never get money online. And when things got sour is when I decided to look at it. And now, and now I ask myself, why the hell didn't I look at it before?
Yeah. Yeah. It's an unfortunate thing, the online space, it's full of a lot of really scary stuff and a lot of scary people, to be honest. And having met some of those people, I know what they're capable of. And it's an unfortunate thing. I think in some ways this technology has made it easier for people to get taken advantage of. So it's good. It's good to be cautious. It's good to be wary. But there's a big difference between being cautious and careful and just simply scared. And I think that's the gray line that people have to really figure out for themselves. I mean, if you're doing, probably a good example is if you go into a car dealership and you're buying a car, are you going to buy a car from somebody that you just get a horrible feeling from, that you just feel like you just can't trust them? Probably not, right? But if you found the same car you loved on the same car lot and it was a different person that you did like and did trust, well, you're probably going to buy the car. So it shouldn't be any different with the online space. And I think this is why we've positioned ourselves so differently and been so successful with it, because right from day one, we wanted to be the people that people could get to know. We wanted to be real people. And quite often, most of these people who are claiming to be gurus in the online space, you never really know them. You never really see them, right? If you watch them, it's usually recorded. If you see them, it's usually a photo. Not too often do you actually get to actually encounter them live. And I think our biggest thing that we did that was so important was right from day one, we said we wanted to do our webinars live twice a week, and we'll keep doing them live twice a week into the future, because this is the only way for people to know that we are different.
Yeah, get to interact with people so they know that you're actually there and you're actually there to help them.
Yeah. And then, and now it's at the point now where it's not enough that I'm real. People need to see people like you that are real, right? And that's why we always get everybody else on the webinar as well. And that's why the webinars are so much more interesting each and every week, because we always get new people coming on and talking about their stories and what their experiences are. And that's the key to everything, I think.
Yeah, true. What have you liked most about this business, and how has it impacted your life?
Well, I mean, the easy stuff, the shallow stuff is the money, obviously. I mean, I'm a small town farm boy, so I love the fact that now I get to live on the ocean. I mean, I get excited every time I see a whale still. I'm like a kid. The best extension of that, though, is how you can help people. Our community has always been one that said we want to have people hired from within. And for people who are starting out or struggling, if they need some assistance, then we've always looked from within before we hire external people. And so, we've got a bunch of people working on the systems and stuff. And for them, that's meaning that they not only are making money, but it also gives them the time to get plugged into their own business while they're also broadening their knowledge about the rest of the systems. So I love the fact that you can help people so much. And, there's helping people that you've never met, and then there's helping all of your friends and family, because naturally, I've got 3 god kids. God kids aren't cheap, right? So you can set up RESPs and that kind of stuff. And that part's really amazing. That's the rewarding stuff. But what I take a lot of pride in is how the community is developed. The fact that we've got tens of thousands of people now working with us from all over the world, from all different races, all different genders, all different beliefs, all different orientations. Everybody is equal. Everybody is listened to. Everybody's respected. I love that. I take a lot of pride in that, because I think, in a really sad way, we live in a world right now where it's not like that in a lot of places. And there's a lot of us that don't feel safe in a lot of places. And what I know for certain is, in this community, people feel safe, people feel heard. And that's important.
Yeah, it's really true, because one of the reasons that I actually got to believe so much in this business is because of the integrity that I found with it. People are known for, working online and blah, 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 but no one really ever gets to, because you're so far from each other, people don't respect each other.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing I found with this business is everybody's respected. I had never seen so many people care so much about someone, wanting them to grow so much, Like everyone, usually in the businesses that I've been in, or the ones that I've seen, everyone is in it for themselves. And that's it. I make money and that's it. I don't share any of my stuff, or I don't share any of my knowledge. I don't share nothing, and that's it. But here, it's a different thing where everyone is like, you can message anyone, you can talk to anyone, and they would be able to help you. They can set up a meeting with you. They can do anything. It was incredible. Like the integrity, the sense of family. You get to have so many friends that you didn't know you could ever have. Right now I have so many friends that I hadn't had in this country for so many years. In my life, I have met so many people here that I had met in my entire life, which is really weird, but true, right?
I know.
It's just humbling and nice at the same time.
It is.
I don't know if that makes any sense, but yeah. And
something I think we all go through. It doesn't matter how long you've been in this community. It's humbling to see it grow. Those of us that were here at the beginning, if you'd ever asked us that we'd be this size, that we would be this successful, we'd have this many amazing people that wanted to work with us, we never could have possibly imagined this.
I know, right? And you're the founders of the business. Someone would expect, something different, but it's, the money is great. Obviously, you get the money, but you all usually get your joy in seeing people succeed and helping them succeed, which is incredible. Not so many people do that. Once they get the money, that's it. But a person who would want other people to succeed, that's just something different. And I guess I don't have anything else to say about that, because it's pretty incredible. I guess, yeah. I have another question though. I've been in the community for maybe 3 or 4 months, so that I don't have much to say, but tell us a little bit about what the results are in the community, because I'm seeing the results, but you've been in the community for over 2 years, so you'll be the best person to tell us about what the results are in the business and how people are thriving in it.
Sure. Well, so we have our annual anniversary on November. It's actually a Remembrance Day, which is kind of strange, but it works. So every November we hit our milestones. So November 11th, 2019. It will be 3 years in the community. And in that time, we've literally gone, well, by that time, we'll have probably gone from 0 to 30,000. And the incredible thing about this is, on the webinars, I always say the same thing kind of in different ways, but I always say something like, the path has already been blazed. It's just for you to follow the trail. And that's kind of the situation right now. When you've got this size of a community and so many people using the same kind of systems and making it work, there's not a lot of moving parts. And so all you really got to do is look at what other people are doing and what's worked for them and put it into your own flavor, right? And I love that, because, I mean, by the time that 3-year anniversary will have rolled around, I guarantee whole other records will have been broken. Today, I mean, we see people who come in, and in the span of we had one person who came in. She was actually from the Philippines, and she joined, and within 3 months was making over $50,000 a month. Is that everybody? No, of course not. But does that mean that other people can do it? 1,000%. In fact, there's people making 6 figures a month now. And I almost cringed to throw that kind of number out there, because I remember how many years it took me to get to the point in my career where I could actually say I was making 6 figures. And at the time, I was like adding up every single income stream I could possibly pull together to do it, just to know that I made it. And then there's that day where you do that in a month and you're like, what the heck happened here? Like, how is this even possible? And then you have this moment where you make your annual income in one day. And that's where it shakes you to the core. Everybody, it's inevitable. In fact, it's happened to me a few times now. The first time we did it was when we made $30,000 in a day. Because I remember when I made $2,500 a month, I really thought I'd made it. Because I remember when I was a kid, my dad, he used to manage an Alberta wheat pool, and he made $2,500 a month. And I remember my mom always saying, thank God that your father has that salary, because we would be bankrupt. We would have lost the farm without that salary. And at the time, $2,500 a month seemed like so much money. And I remember when I got a job finally managing a nightclub and I was making that kind of money. I think I was about 22 years old. Boy, I thought I was just all that. Because I was making what my dad was making probably at that point 15, 20 years ago. Well, 15, no, well, I guess no, if I do the math, probably not that, 10 years ago, probably. But then I did that in a day. And that was quite a while ago when we were working online. But you do that in a day. And the day I did it, the business I'm in now, we pick up commission checks. It's not direct deposit. So we pick up commission checks from the mailbox. And so most people don't know this, but I live on this tiny little island. And I mean tiny. Like, there's 1,000 people who live here. If I had to rely on this little island for my income source, I'd be starving. There's nothing to do here. But because we work online, we're fortunate enough to live in paradise, basically. And so I walk up the street and I pick up my checks. We're walking our dogs, and we open up the mailbox and we're ripping open the envelopes, and I'm adding things up as we're walking. And I stop. It was $30,000, and that number, even though it didn't immediately come to mind what it meant, it was a number that immediately caught my attention. $30,000. I just picked up $30,000 in commission checks right here, right now, one day. It was incredible. And it was a moment I'll never forget. And now we've made significantly more than that. But, it's those milestones that you remember. Those are the ones that I love seeing people hit. Everybody has them. We've all got this number, because numbers are funny things. We all have these weird emotional connections to numbers. For some people, it's making $500 in one day. For some people, it's maybe making $500 a month. We've all got this funny connection to a number that was really hard to achieve in our life. And as soon as I see people do that in a day or a month, you can see that their voice starts to quiver, because you can see how much it impacts them. And what it's doing is it's breaking down that wall that we built around us, that makes us think that we can't do anymore, that we can't achieve anymore. And when that wall is gone, you realize what you're capable of, you realize what you're worth, and you realize just how far this thing can go. And you know what? As soon as that wall comes down for each and every single person, whether it's $100 or $1,000, it doesn't matter what the wall is because it's always personal. As soon as that wall comes down, that's when their business explodes, because they don't have all of this personal emotional baggage holding them back. They don't have all of these fake beliefs that they built up their whole life holding them back anymore. That's the cool thing about it.
Yeah, but then they know that the sky's the limit.
Yep.
And everyone keeps asking me, because usually starting your own business is ridiculous. Like, you have to have a lot of money to start a business, like be it a restaurant, be it anything, like anything, like online, or I mean, it's really expensive. So tell us about this 90% done system, and how for me, I didn't have to break my arm, like I didn't have to break an arm and a leg to start this business, but
well,
no one believes it. So maybe
walk you through it a bit. The thing we always wanted to do when we were building this was we always wanted to be something that was accessible. The whole idea here was that this was going to be the system that would allow all of those people who always wanted to work online or to own their own business to actually be able to do it without having to go through, like you say, breaking the bank and selling off everything they own in order to do it. So what the system is we've set it up so that a large part of the work is actually done for you through the business systems. It's all technology based. So it's not that I'm necessarily doing all the work for you. It's that the machines are, the systems are. And thankfully, thanks to this technology revolution, we can get to a point where we've managed to put things in place to do this. So, I always tell people what we've basically put together here now is a platform that is ideal for anybody who wants to work online, because it's all of the systems, it's all of the tools, it's all of the technology, as well as the training and mentorship, and heck yes, even the products rolled into it, so that you've got everything you need. You don't have to worry about anything. You just got to get plugged in and make it work. And the mentorship and the training is what helps you make it work. And there's a lot of programs out there where they're charging people thousands of dollars to learn how to market on social media and how to set up a Shopify account and an Amazon affiliate account. And all they do is they give you a system where you download a PDF. You might be lucky enough to watch a couple videos, and then they turn you loose in the world and they say, good luck. Well, it works for about 1% of the people, because again, no mentorship, right? I mean, obviously you're going to have questions. Who are you going to ask them to? There's nobody there. So you're still, at the end of the day, a solopreneur. Solopreneurs have terrible success statistics. Most of them fail because they don't know what they're doing. So we wanted to have a system where it was the training, but it was also that kind of that looking after you component, that mentorship component. So when you do have questions, they get answered. And most people, I think the reason that they don't work online is because, number one, they don't have the knowledge, they don't have the skills, and number three, they don't have the money to invest in all this technology you need to actually get up and running. It's not cheap. I mean, tens of thousands of dollars just to get set up with a basic platform. And then there's all the testing that has to happen on top of that. And then something inevitably goes wrong, so then you got to pay the tech guys to fix it. So for most people, it's too much. So what we've done is we've put together the system where we shoulder that burden. We manage the whole system for people. And that just makes it way more easier. And so what it allows them to do is bypass all of that learning curve and just get into the business and start working it right away. And that's ultimately why they're able to see results in a shorter amount of time.
Yeah, that's a pretty good answer. And usually, like, what I was going to say just jumped out of my head. I totally forgot what I was going to say, but okay, we can move on to something else. Okay, wow, I lost my train of thought. Okay,
We could play the Jeopardy theme song.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, for me, what blew me away is like every single person who comes into the business itself has a mentor and has a coach.
Mhm.
And other than the mentor and the coach, there are also a couple of people, so many people who are also there to help, which is not necessarily in any normal business or usually any mentorship program, right?
Yeah.
They usually put you there, mentor comes in once in a while, talks to you, and that's it. But here, the mentors, the coaches, and the whole community, everyone's there, and everyone's there to help, which is pretty incredible. And I guess that's why people are getting results so quickly. Because look at me, I mean, I'm living proof. I've been in this business for literally 3 months. I joined my birthday, towards my birthday. And look at me now, 3 months later, and my business is booming, right? So
Yeah.
this is all because the systems, the coaches, the mentors, I mean, everyone's willingness to help. I mean, usually people say, help others and you'll be like, everything else will come to you. It's like karma, right? Keep helping and then your things will come to you as well. And I guess that's why this business is thriving so much, because everyone is there to help, and people don't do it for the sake of doing it, but they do it because they're genuine and they really want to help. And that's why this community is growing so much. I mean, we're now 17,000 people, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
we're still growing. And I mean, it's only been 2 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
Coming to 3 years, but still,
Yeah.
it grows in such a small amount of time.
Mm-hmm.
And this is incredible. Do you have anything else to add? Help people, the skeptics, or I mean,
The skeptics. Well, the funny thing about this is anybody who's in a relationship seems to have a skeptical spouse. And I think part of that is probably because I'm not lucky enough to have both of you in front of the camera watching us. So when one spouse is relaying what they've heard to another, it can sound a little bit odd. So that's why I always encourage people to both get involved. You know, we've got informational videos you can watch. Part of the process is we actually get on the phone and have a one-on-one conversation with every single person who joins the program. And I've always said to people, if you want your spouse to be on this call with us, absolutely. Let's do a 3-way call, or let's get you guys on a speakerphone. Let's do it. Because it's important that, you know, everybody is comfortable and you're supporting each other. And we've had a lot of people who've joined over the years, and you know, sometimes there's just no convincing people. And so what they've said to their spouse is, look, I understand. You don't understand why I need to do this, but what I have to ask you to do for me is to understand that this is for me. And you might not respect this right now, but I need you to respect me and give me the space, give me the leverage to be able to do this, and just show to you why I think this is so amazing and what it can do for us. And in all cases, it's always worked out. It's a funny thing. The skeptical spouses somehow always magically get less skeptical as the checks start rolling in. That helps a lot. But to the people who aren't dealing with a skeptical spouse, and it's you that's the one that's skeptical, I always like to remind people, you know, humans are instinctual beings. We're very primal still, and this whole kind of butterfly feeling that we get when we're afraid of something, or when we feel like something's not right, those butterflies feel exactly the same as when we're excited about something. And I think it's easy to forget about that. I get nervous stomach if I feel like I'm in danger. That's my protection mechanism that's built into me as an animal, an instinctual being, right? And so I also realize now that I get the same nervous stomach when I'm really excited. And so it's about kind of retraining yourself. I mean, humans are lucky enough now, most of us, especially over here in North America, we tend to find ourselves in a fairly safe climate. Obviously, that's not the norm for everybody, but what I would say is, if you know in your heart of hearts that you are safe right now, you're in your own home, you got food on the table, you got power, you got water, your basic needs are covered, then why have you got those kinds of butterflies? Is it really that bad? Maybe it's actually just an opportunity that's creating that. And I think a little bit of perspective helps a lot of people, because, and you said it right at the early stages of the interview here, nothing changes unless you make it change.
Yeah.
And until you stop doing what you're doing, how in the world do you ever think you're going to get anything different happening?
Yeah, that's true, because you've been doing, let's say you're 27, 28, you've been doing the same thing for 27 years. Oh, not even 27, okay, 20, because maybe from your adult life, you've been doing the same thing. And
Mhm.
nothing has happened. Nothing has changed. What makes you think 10 years down the road, you're going to change something if you've been doing the same thing over and over and nothing's changed? I mean, I learned it the hard way, but I mean, I still did. But I mean, for some people, it doesn't have to be that hard for you to learn that this, like, things can be different. I mean, right?
Absolutely.
And we actually have live webinars like you were talking about. We usually hold them Tuesdays and, sorry, Monday and Thursday. I
Yep.
actually put it on my page. Funny story, I put it on my page yesterday. And I was,
Awesome.
yay, it's Thursday. And yesterday was Monday and my coach called me.
Well, that's the advantage of working online. You tend to lose track of what day it is.
Corrected. I wasn't Thursday, it was Monday. And I'm like, oh, crap. And I already put it out there. But yeah. We usually have live workshops on Monday and Thursday, usually at 6 p.m. Pacific time, and Eastern time we have them at 9 p.m. So if anyone's looking, anyone wants to know what we're doing and why our community is growing, I mean, you can just message us, me, Mike, anyone in the community, or you can just register for the live workshop. I mean, it's free. You have nothing to lose. Look at it, check it out, see if it's for you. And if it's not for you, I mean, we only work with people who want to be helped, and we work with people who want to work with us. We don't force anyone. We don't chase people around. Do we, Mike?
Nope. No time to chase.
We don't chase people around. I mean, we only work with people who want to be helped. If you want to be helped, I mean, look at the workshops and let us help you. You have anything else to add?
No, I think that's a great close. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Okay, bye guys, and you can do whatever you want. You can call us, sorry, message us, watch the workshop, and we're here to help. Bye guys.
Bye, everybody.